Hello everyone, welcome to the CTV News on Calabash TV and on the Wave Radio 94.5. I am Lisa Joseph. Contaminated food by bacteria, viruses, parasites or harmful chemicals causes over 2,000 diseases from diarrhea to cancer. And like the rest of the world's citizens, St. Lucians are at risk. To raise awareness and promote preventative action throughout the food chain, the Pan American Health Organization and the World Health Organization, PAHO, the WHO, are focusing efforts on the 2015 World Health Day campaign on the issue of food safety. Local authorities have taken note, and after years of complaints about contaminated foods at public eateries, the Ministry of Health, through the Public Health Act, is taking action. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Merlene Frederick says establishments that are unlicensed will come under the microscope. In fact, the ministry will begin publishing a list of licensed restaurants, bakeries, and other eateries as a means of guiding consumers.
Public Health Act governs the licensing of food establishments. So all food establishments, commercial food establishments, restaurants, etc., which are selling food to the public, should meet certain standard in terms of food safety and to be licensed. There are some food establishments that are very compliant, that keep the standard and have no difficulty in being licensed, but there are others who have been faltering. And the Ministry of Health is working with those organizations to try to bring them up to the standard. But where they fail to meet the standard, they will be referred to the Public Health Board, and the Public Health Board will be taking the necessary action. So later this year, towards the second half of the year, after sensitizing all of food establishments, the ministry plans on publishing a list of the licensed food establishments. We may not have the legislative authority right now to publish the non-licensed ones, but certainly we think it would be important so that the public can know that they're being assured of some form of, service and quality when they go to those places.
From farm to plate, keep it safe is this year's slogan for World Health Day, observed annually on the 7th of April to mark the anniversary of the WHO's founding in 1948. Diseases caused by contaminated food are a serious problem for people's health and can jeopardize a country's development, trade, and tourism. That's according to the PAHO WHO Director, Carissa Etienne. Globally, over 582 million people fall ill and more than 350,000 die annually from foodborne diseases. These illnesses result from eating unsafe foods such as uncooked meat, fruits and vegetables contaminated with feces or pesticides, and raw seafood containing marine biotoxins.
We're encouraging persons to consume locally grown foods because locally grown foods are healthier, they are fresh, they are produced with fewer chemicals and hormones and antibiotics, and they're really better for us. So the locally grown foods, the dashin and the yam, the banana, plantain, the locally produced poultry or chicken, all of those foods are healthier. And if we consume them in the appropriate amounts, they can actually protect us from developing non-communicable diseases like diabetes and hypertension and the like. When we think of farm, we're also thinking of the process used to actually produce and grow the foods. And the Ministry of Health is encouraging persons as much as possible to go into organic farming. Use the natural fertilizers rather than all of the imported chemicals as much as possible. If pesticides have to be used, use them in accordance with the guidance given from the Ministry of Agriculture. Because we know that if too many chemicals are used in the food, they can actually contaminate the food. And then we have concerns about the development of cancers and so from food that we may consume.
Rapid urbanization has also magnified the risk as people eat more food prepared outside the home, which is not always properly prepared and handled. Poor transportation practices can also impact food safety.
Foods, especially meats and poultry and dairy products, we know that those have to be kept chilled or frozen during the transportation process in order to prevent contamination and development of bacteria. And each year, the Environmental Health Department actually condemns quite a bit of food that has been imported into the island which hasn't been kept under the right conditions. So say there are dairy products which are not kept properly chilled during the transportation, they would have to inspect and condemn that in order to protect the public from any foodborne disease. But even more so, we have to be careful and use every precaution when we're preparing food, because at this stage, we can prevent a lot of foodborne illness. And the statistics actually show that the majority of foodborne illnesses or contamination of food happens during preparation of the food. Raw foods which are eaten raw, like lettuce and tomatoes, etc., should not be prepared in the same place or whilst we're also dealing with raw meat or poultry, because the raw food, the food that we eat raw, can actually be contaminated by all of these, things that come from the meat, etc. So we're encouraging persons to ensure that they separate the two. Hands should be washed frequently and properly when we're preparing food. Of course, if persons have to go to the bathroom, etc., they should ensure that their hands are properly washed before returning to food production.
And while there are no estimates of the total costs, including medical care, drugs, and lost work hours of these diseases at the regional level, the available data indicate that the $700,000 to $19 million in annual health cost is incurred in the Caribbean countries.